We've never really been into sports that much, but my dad did play for OU football for a minute, for a semester in college. So by proxy, yes, we're Sooner fans.
Doing all the research I did today, I mean, 1,000 Little Cuts is on my Amazon list now.
Oh,
So
that's funny. Yeah, so we have like really small roles in that. I'm just playing piano in a scene and Shane's in the restaurant. But we have some other movies. Cowgirl Song is on Netflix. We're in that. We have big roles and we wrote all the music for that. And then there's a movie called Mending the Line that's out right now on Netflix that we
Filmed
have.
in Montana.
Yeah.
Movie about veterans, really cool film.
We have August 30th, the new film Reagan is coming out starring Dennis Quaid. And it's in theaters nationwide. And Shane and we have a very short appearance in the movie. We are the band at the inaugural ball. And so you'll see us and you will actually hear us as well. They are licensing our version of Frankie Valli's My Eyes Adored You. So you'll hear us and see us for about a minute at the inaugural ball scene. So it's pretty exciting.
How'd that come about?
Oklahoma. The film was shot all in Guthrie, Oklahoma, and around Oklahoma. And one of our good friends, Chris Freihoffer, he's a casting director here in Oklahoma. He was working on the film and reached out and asked Maggie if she could have the Imaginaries be the band for the scene. And we said, heck yeah, we'd love to do it. So it was kind of just about knowing the right person and being available for the opportunity. Now, Maggie took it a step further because, being real musicians, I don't know how you feel about this, but, we've all watched movies and we've seen the band playing in some scene, whether it's a prom or whatever, bar scene. And the guy's on guitar and he's not changing the chords, but you can hear in the music that the music's moving, right? He didn't, and that's because it's an actor and they shot the scene and they had no idea what song they were going to put in there. So we asked ahead of time, said, what is the song? We need to know, we want to make sure everybody in the band knows the song. We want to know what version of the song we're doing. And they told us. And so we learned the song. The band learned the song so that we would look as though we were playing it on camera. But we had this idea, and this is because of our experience of working on films. That song is owned by a record label. It's going to be expensive for them to license that Frankie Valli track, right? So we decided, hey, we'll cut our own version, the Imaginaries version of the song, and maybe the movie will decide to license our version instead of the Frankie Valli version because,
we're the ones on camera.
We're the ones on camera. He's not on camera anyways. So it kind of made sense, and come to find out they decided to do that. So pretty cool.
And what's really neat too is that everyone who is on camera is who actually recorded on this song as well, which is really neat.
Well, did you have to come up with an 80s vibe for that song?
It was a little bit more
to make it look too 2024-ish or
no, it was more I would say it was more 70s, right? Early 70s.
Yeah, it was maybe late 70s.
Was it late 70s? Yeah. And so no, we just it would, of course when we showed up there, it was interesting because for shooting the scene, they wanted all the guys to grow out their facial hair and have kind of almost a Chicago look about them, And we got there and the director changed his mind and decided he wanted everybody to go in and shave, be clean cut and wear tuxes. So that's kind of how we looked on stage.
Yeah. And it has a little 80s vibe though.
Yeah, it does.
It's just very timeless and classic. Yeah. And when we recorded the song, we recorded it, with all real instruments, including horns and strings. So everything is very timeless and classic as well. You can't tell when it was recorded. It definitely doesn't sound modern.
How does that work? How do you, I guess, become like collaborate on a soundtrack? How does that whole process work?
Each one is different. Each one comes from different connections and knowing different people.
Just relationships, I think. We lived in Los Angeles. We got married in 2011, moved out to LA. And when we first moved out there, Maggie was teaching some piano lessons. We were both hustling to try to pursue our dream. And you started teaching piano lessons to a director that you already had previously connected with, but his kids. And that just turned into a beautiful friendship. And then every time he would do a movie, he would involve us somehow in the film. And like the second film he did, he had us be in the band scene and we did one song for it. And then during the pandemic,
he wrote us roles in a Cowgirl Song and asked us if we wanted to write and produce the whole soundtrack. And this was during COVID. So we said, yeah, we can't tour. So yes, please.
Oh, that was the diner scene, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, the diner.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How is it? Is that fun? Is that fun for you guys? I mean, just to, I guess, act
Yeah.
that way again, beat up
I've
one another.
I've been acting a little, well, I've been acting longer than Shane, but I really enjoy it. And it's so fun how music and film collide so much. And I remember coming home one day and telling Shane, so we're going to be in a movie and we're going to do all the music. And he's like, what? I've never acted. And I'm like, you'll be fine. We're going to get a coach.
Which we did.
Which we did.
Yeah.
And it was fun.
Well, how long does that process take?
I mean, we had a coach for what, maybe a month?
Yeah.
And because it was such a short time frame. And I think the easiest part for me never have acted before in this film, it was that the director wrote a role that was pretty much an extension of who I already am. So it wasn't like I had to pretend I was something completely far out. It's not like, Rain Man, where you've got to, play a completely different role that's different than who you are. It was like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah.
So
Now, you guys are originally from Oklahoma?
Yeah.
we are.
We are.
As country singers, how then did you go to LA first and maybe skip Nashville?
That's a good question. Well, at the time that we moved to LA, I had previously been signed to a record deal back in 2006 to Shawnee Records. And I had collaborated with a bunch of songwriters in Los Angeles. And this was at the time when Maggie and I were still doing our solo music. We had our solo careers just under our names. And so I knew a lot of people in LA. I had really connected with a songwriter named Jeff Silbar. He's a Grammy Award-winning songwriter. He wrote the song "You're the Wind Beneath My Wings," amongst many other hit songs. And I think that was kind of really one of the defining reasons why we moved there.
Well,
was because we already knew people and we didn't know anyone in Nashville.
Well, I knew people in Nashville. I think it also had to do with our style of music at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Shane's solo music is blues rock and mine is singer-songwriter, piano, pop rock. And so, but yeah, we just had more connections in LA, and we also felt like if we're gonna go for this, let's go big. Because as we're talking, the film industry is there, and there's so many other ways to get your music opportunities. And so it was a cool phase of life. We were there about 7 years and lived in multiple different places and got a lot of cool, crazy opportunities from being there. And it still is paying off today. The opportunities that we're getting today are a lot of them based on relationships that we made during that time.
Now, are there any cool LA moments that are like you'll never forget and like you can only musicians would know?
Oh yeah, like the first week we moved there. I mean, Maggie and I put so much energy and effort into the actual move because when you're from Oklahoma and it's like you're moving, there's a lot of logistics involved, right? You're packing your stuff up, you're figuring out where you're going to live. You're thinking about all those like tangible things that you got to get taken care of, but the one thing that you never really think about is like, what am I going to do once I get settled in, everything's put away, and now it's time to live life and try to figure out how to, pursue this dream in Los Angeles. And it's like, it's crazy out there, right? So I'll never forget the first week we moved there, we had just kind of gotten that all done. We'd gotten all settled into our place. And a friend of mine, who's in the music business, he's a producer, called me and he said, "Hey, would you mind helping me move a couch today?" And I said, "Sure, man." What? He knew I had a van, and I said, "Sure, I'll help you move a couch." Had no idea where we were going. Come to find out, we ended up at a house in Beverly Hills, up in the, driving up the mountains in a nice, real fancy area. We pull up to a gate with stars above the gate, and we're at Ringo Starr's house. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. And I got to meet a Beatle, within the first week we lived there.
Yeah.
And
there wasn't room for me in the van. Sad day.
But there was many moments like that. I mean, when we lived out there, we got to go to this cool thing too as well that was called a story hour, and it was a songwriter, David Hodges, had a great place on Mulholland Drive, and he would do this event where he would just invite musicians, and you never knew who was going to be there, and we met all kinds of
and we got musicians. To play at it too.
I got to play one night right after Scott Stapp from not Scott Stapp, Scott Weiland from Stone Temple Pilots. Yeah, got to meet Scott Weiland, which was crazy.
Yeah. And I mean, lots of crazy things, and just being able to like say yes when someone calls. And that's how a lot of opportunities came for us from being in LA. Just letting people know that we were there and we were willing to collaborate and help however we could. And so when somebody calls and say, Maggie, can you come to the studio this afternoon? I need a session singer for this film I'm working on. Yes, I'll be there. So just by saying yes to things like that, it turned into more and more and more opportunities. I ended up singing on a bunch of Mattel projects, from Barbie to American Girl to all kinds of things. I never thought I would have been doing that, but it happened and it was awesome. And then I got asked to sing on 80 episodes of a Disney show. And just like that kind of stuff doesn't happen in Oklahoma. It happens in LA. And it was really fun during that period of time to just be able to say, yeah, let's go, let's do it. And even now, you know, if we get a call, we'll consider flying out to do certain things. And I ended up doing that with the show called The Middle on ABC. I got asked to audition for it and had a really good shot at booking it. Well, I flew out the next day on my birthday, you know, 1 day notice, did the audition, booked the role, and the next day was on set, and ended up having 3 different episodes that I got to be in on The Middle, which was such a fun experience.
I mean,
so,
with that,
yeah,
with Mattel, with a bunch of soundtracks that you do, you get oftentimes get like, oh, we didn't realize that was you singing that. You get that.
Oh yeah, all the time. Because you don't always see us, and you might just hear us. And then there'll be a time when people will recognize our music, but they don't know what we look like. There's like vice versa. I was talking to someone who's going to have us come do a showcase at a conference in a few months, and they were so excited because they knew our holiday music because they heard it on some Hallmark Christmas movies last year. So I just thought that was really cool. So it can go both ways.
Also, like when you mentioned Scott Weiland, that's my wife, though, we have like, who would you want to go see? Who's one person you would want to go see? And Scott Weiland is always my #1 guy. And obviously, I'm not going to see him anymore. I mean,
Sure.
did you have that when you guys were in LA? Did you guys, oh, I hope we get the chance to work with somebody, or when you first moved out?
I mean,
Yeah.
there's always that hope, but you just never really know what's going to happen. But like, I think there's also power in, you know, when you meet people and just asking to collaborate and stuff, because I got to work with an artist that I really respected and love his music. His name is David Ryan Harris. He's played guitar in John Mayer's band for over 15 years, but he's also an incredible songwriter, incredible artist, incredible producer. And I ran into him at that event the night that I got to perform after Scott Weiland, and told him, you know, I was working on some new music and I was looking for a producer, looking for somebody to collaborate with. Asked him if he might know anybody or if he might be interested. And he said, yeah, I'd love to. Let's connect next week. And we ended up making a record together. So you just never know.
Yeah.
You know?
And just being there and like kind of being in the circle of musicians and singer-songwriters, it's not as big of a world, you know, it's a pretty small world, and it's really neat to connect with people. And now that we've, you know, been spending a lot more time in Nashville, the same goes for there as well. And something to bounce off what Shane just said, you know, the power of saying something out loud and like, you know, kind of bringing it into existence.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting because I know where you're going with
Yeah.
this. Her dad had recently asked her, he was like, hey, you know, if you could have any mentor in the music business right now, you know, to just help coach you, who would it be? We were having lunch one day and he just said that because we were kind of we were at a place where we were trying to figure out a bunch of, you know, choices. Like, what do we do about this? What do we do about that? And he goes, well, if you could get any coach in the music business, who would it be? And she said, I think I'd love to talk to Vince Gill. Well, come to find out, the power of like calling that out in the universe has come back to us, and now we're friends with him.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
And he's playing on our new single, which is just crazy because I never would have thought that at that time when we were having that conversation. And now we get to have meals with him and sit down and talk about music. And it's just really cool how, you know, if you really want something and you think about it and you talk about it and you put it in motion, it can actually happen, for good or bad, but thankfully in this instance for good. And yeah, it's been really cool, all the people that we've gotten to know and collaborate with over the years.
Now that comes out July 6th, doesn't it? It was a whole lot of living.
July 26th. Yes.
How does that work, that whole process where Vince, we want you to collaborate with us, but we want to be in the back, we want you to be in the background and be the guitarist.
Well, actually, when we approached him about this, we were hoping that he might be interested in singing on the song too. It was definitely a cool track. We had already recorded the song down in Muscle Shoals, and I'd put down a guitar solo on it, but we thought, it'd be really cool if we could get him to sing backgrounds and play guitar solo. And he just said, yeah, let's get together next week. So we went over to his place. We were in Nashville. We went over to his place and we played him the track. And he goes, you guys sound great. I don't really hear anything vocally, but he goes, I'm happy to, take a pass on the guitar solo. And that's kind of how it worked.
It was very casual. I mean, there was no conversations with management or anything like that at that point. It was just like, hey, Vince, we've got a song and we really think it would be awesome for if you could play and be a part of this somehow. And I kind of left it vague. And it was the honest truth. It needed something, and needed a little something to make it pop and be finished. And I think he knew that too when he heard it. And it was just very organic how it all happened. Like Shane said, he said, I don't think I need to sing. You guys sound great, but let me play some guitar. And
which is kind of really cool, and also shows that like there's no ego there. Like he just wanted to help us do whatever was going to make the song the best it could be,
Yeah.
So pretty cool.
Does he tell you anything else or any other lessons you've learned from I guess Vince Gill or any other artists about the business itself, about continuing going on?
Yeah. He told us the one thing that has really stuck with him over the years, his biggest piece of advice for us is that, nobody gets tired of a great singer singing a great song. And that's what it comes down to. It comes down to the songs, and it comes down to your delivery.
And your message.
Yeah,
what you're singing about.
Yeah.
So
that's probably the biggest thing I've taken away. Anything.
That was pretty much,
he's given us lots of tidbits, and he's a funny guy, and it's just really fun to get to chat with him and hang out with him and hear his stories. It's really cool. And we're just so grateful to have him be a part of what we're doing and to know him.
When someone tells you, we want you to do a soundtrack for us, is there like a different creative mindset between being contracted for a soundtrack and then doing your own work?
I think so, yeah, because like with the soundtrack we did for a Cowgirl Song, I mean, that was all based around a script that had been written. There was characters written. There was sort of these defined lines about what songs needed to be about, where the songs were going to sit in the film, and honestly, what the tone of that scene was like. So there was definitely more structure, I guess, around that. And that made that a little bit easier to create those songs, because it's not like you're just creating something that's from your heart and soul. That's, something that you're.
Well, like for a Cowgirl Song, we were working with a script. And so it's very easy to read it and go, okay, well, this song is going to work in this scene in this way. And so you have a good, blueprint. Just having some guidelines to work with. The more information we can have, the better when working on something like that, because the hardest thing to do is once you've started, going back and restarting. So trying to get as much information as possible. What kind of songs are you interested in for this scene? What kind of tempo? What about the time signature? Are there any examples you can send? And this is the kind of stuff you deal with when you're talking to people who are not musicians, and filmmakers who are creative, and they're trying to communicate to you, and if they're not musical, so it's like a lot of interpreting what they're saying and then taking that and then creating something and being very open. That's another thing, working on songs for a film. In the way that we did a Cowgirl Song, we had to be very adaptive and be able to, go with what the director Tim wanted us to do. And we did have to start over on a couple things.
Yeah, and it's also hard when you have to, like, he liked a certain song, but he wanted to rewrite it and rewrite it and rewrite it and rewrite it. And sometimes by the third or fourth, revision, you're like, I don't know what else to do, but we figured out how to do it.
Yeah.
We got there.
Yeah.
So it's just a totally completely different creative process for sure.
Now, as a husband and wife songwriting duo, I mean, how does that work? How is it smooth at all times? Is it not so smooth at all times? Do you leave it at the office at the end of the day? How does that?
What's interesting for us is, we started dating in 2005, so 19 years ago, and been married now since 2011. So I think, we started collaborating way back there, years before we, right after we first started dating, we started collaborating. I would have acoustic gigs and Maggie would come out and sing with me or play piano, and vice versa. She might have a gig and I would accompany her on guitar. So we really learned to perform with each other first before we ever tried to get in a creative headspace of writing. I think I helped her produce a couple of songs that she had written on her own early on. But I think for songwriting, it did take us a while to figure out how to communicate with each other, how to respect each other, how to work towards a common goal of creating a great song without, offending each other. And I think you have to, at a certain point, it's just a level of maturity that has to come into play, that you're like, okay, I'm going to set the relationship thing over to the side, because right now we're working on as two musicians who are trying to create a song right now.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to be a little less sensitive about stuff. And I think a lot of it too is just communication.
Yeah, it is. It took us a while. And we both had different songwriting styles. I had always written by myself 100%. And my songs are very personal, very much like straight from my journal, stream of consciousness vibes. And Shane wrote from a very different perspective and angle. And so, figuring out, okay, not everybody does it the same way. And my way is not better than your way, and your way is not better than mine. We just have to figure out how this is going to work for us. And so it took a little bit, but we, I think, have figured each other out now. And we still will, a lot of the time, one of us will start a song and then bring the other one in on it, just because I think that's naturally how songs are born, is like the idea is, given to one of us, and then we bring it to the other and finish it. But we've really had a blast collaborating and bringing in other writers into the equation as well over the years.
Was it a matter of just compromise, or is it at the end, it's just, we've got a good song here, no matter whose voice it is?
Yeah. I think we both agree that we need to do whatever's best for the song. We need to do whatever's best for the music. And so we try to always put our egos aside. There's plenty of songs that we've recorded that I'm not a writer on, and plenty of songs that we've recorded that Shane's not a writer on. And, we take turns singing, and we just do what the song needs. And if you keep that at the forefront of everything, it stays authentic, and that's the most important thing.
As a husband-wife duo, do you have any couples advice for others, husband and wife, I guess, entrepreneurs or singers?
Just like anybody else, we have our moments, we have our days, we have our struggles. But I think that what's worked really well for us is that we've figured out who's good at what, and let that person do that thing and help as needed. But kind of, know your strengths and know your weaknesses, and collaborate in such a way that you're not making it harder, that it's actually easier because everybody, is doing what they're good at. And thankfully for us, Shane's really good at the recording aspect of things and all things gear and production, and he has a really good ear. For me, I really deal with all of our business. So I'm helping book a lot of the shows. I'm doing management, dealing with social media and all of that stuff. So, but it's fun because we're both equally creative, but we have our separate strengths. So I would say, not trying to do everything, share the responsibility and the wins with your significant other.
Yeah, and also like I guess back to the songwriting thing you talked about, I think communication. Being
Communicate.
able to like know how to communicate in a loving way, even if you disagree. You know,
Yeah.
that is the key here. Because it's like you're not like just trying to go, oh, that idea sucked, you know, or try to be brash about it. I think I did a lot of that early on, not realizing that I was being offensive or not even thinking about being offensive. But I think the communication is definitely key.
Yeah.
And you have to be, when you're collaborating with a partner, you have to be sensitive to that and go, hey, that's a cool idea, or but let's try this. You know, maybe there's just a gentler way to put your ideas out there if you don't like an idea.
Yeah, and that goes for working together as well, you know, just in day-to-day business. Just respecting each other and communicating as efficiently and politely and as kind as possible is definitely key as well.
You songwrite together, you perform together, you act together. You guys work out together?
Yeah,
We do.
we do. Yeah. Yeah. We don't always work out together, but we do most of the time, I would say. We have a Crunch Fitness gym membership, and depending on the season of life, we'll get a Planet Fitness membership. Because when we're on the road,
there's a whole lot more Planet Fitness than there are Crunch. That's for sure.
Yeah. And then whenever we are traveling, we'll try to stay at places, whether it's a hotel or an Airbnb or wherever that has some kind of a fitness center that we can work out at. And if we can't get to a gym, we always try to go explore in the places that we're touring in and staying in, just go walk around and enjoy the town and, you know, get a little exercise at the same time.
Well, do you have like a city that you like really prefer when you're going on tour for the activity, for the scenery, for just the getting outdoors?
Well, I mean, we just in the last couple months have had some really cool.
Yeah, we've gotten to go to some first places we've never been.
Yeah.
There's just so many great places, but like this time of year when it's so hot in Oklahoma, it sure is nice to be in Montana. You know, we just enjoyed like 3 days off in Livingston, Montana, and it was absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
What a cool town. Bozeman's amazing. All those areas are just awesome this time of year when it's, you know, 102 degrees in Oklahoma.
But yeah, we love Colorado. We just got back from there. I don't know. We find the beauty in everywhere that we go.
Yeah, I mean, all places are unique and have their, you know, their charm.
So. Yeah.
Are you outdoors people? I mean, you go hiking? Do you ski? Do you?
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I think that's why I love the mountains more. Love hiking, love skiing, you know, love anything outdoors, really.
Yeah, we just went skiing at the beginning of this year. We went to Red River, New Mexico, because it's pretty close to Oklahoma, and we took our parents with us, and it was really fun. And
that was like the first
for a few days.
That was the first non-music related vacation in I don't know how many years, because typically whenever we're going somewhere, it's like, even if it's a vacation, it's like, oh, we'll have 2 or 3 gigs, then we'll stay for a couple of extra days, then come home. So it's like, usually it's always like work vacation thing, but this time it was just pure vacation, which was great.
Yeah. And then we just, from this leg of the tour, we floated the Yellowstone River. It was really fun. We took a raft out, and that was really enjoyable. We like to go canoeing in the summertime. So yeah, we're fairly outdoorsy people. We love to get some fresh air in. We have some dogs. We love to take them on walks and explore new places.
Now, is this like a pre-concert, I guess, ritual for you? Like just to get outdoors a couple hours beforehand?
Yeah, I mean, depending on the weather, you know, that's always a thing. And sometimes we're playing outside, which, you know, can be awesome and can be really hot or cold too. But yeah, it's important to kind of get grounded and, you know, get some fresh air and just clear our heads before we play too.
What's your gym routine like? How do you guys?
Well, I think in general, our schedule is so not normal. So like a routine is very hard with our lifestyle of touring so much, being in the car, driving. So as far as like times of days, that doesn't really get very consistent, but we try like to exercise generally 3 or 4 times a week, going to the gym, doing cardio, doing weights, you know, like we'll try to do arms one day and do it together. And then, you know, the next time we go back, we'll do legs. And then the next time we'll do like back and shoulders, and just try to get some cardio in each time as well. And sometimes we work out more, sometimes we work out
Well, I
less.
mean, if we're staying at like an Airbnb or something like that, like I'll do P90X, or I'll, you know,
Go on a walk or
yeah,
jog.
go on a walk, hike, jog, that whole thing. There's
Yeah.
plenty of things you can do without being at a gym too to stay healthy.
Yeah.
So
Does your father text you guys in the morning and say, "Don't skip leg day this week," or like that?
he's pretty hardcore. Like I don't know if we mentioned it yet, but her dad's like literally won Mr. Oklahoma, and you know, the 50, and I think he was like what, 52 when he won?
Yeah.
21.
He won in the 40 and up category.
Yeah, the 40 and up category. So
Pretty
yeah,
big.
he's just always been really coaching us about health, about eating healthy, about working out, about, you know, just everything. And that's great, because that's, you know,
You need that.
if you don't have your health, then nothing else matters in life, you know? And so
yeah. He's not like a drill sergeant.
no, he's more gentle about it.
Yeah.
You know? So
If we wanted him to be like that, he would, but he knows it's kind of hard with.
But it's pretty fun though. Like he had his trainer work up like a little plan for us to take on the road. So when we're going to places, and it's like, hey, here's good 30-minute, 45-minute workouts you can do, you know?
Yeah,
So.
it's helpful for sure. And if he comes across like good snack ideas or, you know, anything, he'll always send us texts and be like, hey, try this, or make sure you're drinking enough water. Like, so yeah, he's very helpful.
You get to pack your protein powder, stuff like that, and just those little.
Yeah.
Totally.
Get the almond butter and all the things.
You guys, I mean, do you guys train like does he give you like bodybuilding advice or workouts?
I mean, yeah, I mean, we'll work out with him sometimes. But he's so hardcore. Like he works out from 6 to 7 a.m. and then again from 6 to 7 p.m.
Every day.
Every single day of the week.
Yeah. It's the most like committed person I've ever met when it comes to, and then also very strongly committed to his diet as well, which is key to all of this.
Yes. But when he gets a cheat meal, he goes for it.
Oh yeah. Little Brahms ice cream, or, you know.
Usually a milkshake.
Yeah. Does he give you like a lot of tips? Like
yes, he's always given us tips and given us pointers, and, you know, here's what you guys can do when you're on the road, and try this and try that. And so it's really nice. It's like having a personal trainer almost.
I mean, is he the type of dad that would be like, hey, you need to improve your bench press form this way. Your hands are too wide. Your hands are too wide. Your hands are too narrow.
If we wanted him
if you wanted him to be,
he would.
But, yeah,
but
you're not
he knows
that hardcore.
He knows we're not as hardcore as he is.
Well, speaking of health, I did notice or read a couple of years ago, Shane, an appendectomy.
Yeah.
How did that work out? I don't know how it worked out, but
yeah.
How did that affect, I guess, everything for you, you physically, mentally,
everything,
the band?
yeah. It affected everything. We were in the studio actually. This actually happened in June of 2019. Yeah. So we were just finishing up our debut album, and I'd been in the studio that day, and I'd started feeling this like sort of stabbing pain in my side, and I just kind of ignored it, you know. But as the day went on, it just progressed, and it kind of felt like a sword was like just stabbing into my side right here. And I remember at one point just telling her, I was like, I think I need you to take me to the hospital. She goes, what?
Yeah,
why?
Casual about it.
And I was just like, well, I've had this pain in my side. It's just, it started to hurt. It's just hurting really bad right now. I don't know what's going on. Go to the hospital, come to find out my appendix had ruptured, and they took me straight into the operation. And typically, you know, people have that laparoscopically removed, and, you know,
they'll be fine.
They'll be fine in a month. You know, it's like you just can't lift heavy things for a little while those stitches are, you know, healing. But for me, wound got infected. I was getting worse 5-6 days after the surgery. Had to get on several rounds of antibiotics, additional antibiotics. It ended up being a deal where they had to take the stitches out, and then I had to go to wound care because it got infected, and it had to heal from the inside out. So it was a big recovery for me. And I think that also is why it was like a wake up call that like, man, if you don't have your health, you have nothing in life. And it was also a reminder of how important it is to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Because, we all think we can just keep going at 90 miles an hour until something like that happens. And it just sort of like humbles you. And you're like, okay, protect my body, and take care of it.
And I would say, it was really eye-opening from my perspective, and it really opened my eyes. Okay, yeah. We are so fragile, and we really do need to take care of ourselves, and health should be a very top priority. Just the act of Shane holding his guitar and it resting against his stomach, like that hurt really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And
for a while, it almost took me honestly 2 years to kind of get back to a certain place of normalcy
vocally,
but
too.
through all of that, I had a lot of scar tissue because of what happened. A lot of scar tissue that it's taken me 4 or 5 years to work through, and I'm still working through it. You know what I mean?
But it was hard for him to sing too for a long time. And we were just talking about how it's so awesome because I can tell, and so can he, that his voice is finally back to where it was.
For sure.
With that, what's the process? What's, I guess, the recovery process like for them from, I guess, day one from day one until 4 years, 3 years, 4 years later, where now you finally feel better? I mean, is it a mental grind just as much as?
I think a lot of it was figuring out, the scar tissue situation, because I actually had to go in and get scar tissue massage to break that scar tissue down, because what was happening was because of the way that the wounds had to heal, because I got infected. It created just a ginormous amount of scar tissue in there, and that got wrapped around my what is it called? Diaphragm. Yeah. And so after we finally figured this out, that basically I had to go in for just like this deep tissue massage pretty often for quite a while to help break up that scar tissue. And then once I was able to do that, it was just, okay, figuring out how to.
I would say though, the first 4 months was really bad. He definitely couldn't sing or play or do anything besides exist and try to get better. And then we had a few gigs that were really hard for him to do.
Yeah, they were way too soon after the surgery. It was
like 2 months after the surgery, which we thought would be fine, but it was really hard on him. And then, he just exercised as he could and figured out, okay, I can't really do crunches anymore because that really really irritates that whole area. Just figuring out, what kind of exercise you could do that doesn't bother you.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm back to, 100%. And I do have like a small, I guess they called it incisional hernia from the operation. Like it's like a centimeter. So I have to be careful of that. So I'll wear a weight belt, but no big deal.
Yeah, lifting and loading, we have to be a little more careful now. But that's good, just taking care of ourselves. And my dad's always on us on that. He's like, "Are you wearing your belt?"
Have you had to change your diet in any way since then, or?
Absolutely, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of things that would irritate my just stomach in general after that surgery, and I don't know why, but just staying away from a lot of fried food really is the key. So
and back when we were living in LA, we were in a house in Glendale, and I kept getting sinus infections all the time, once a month. And I was like, this is ridiculous. What is going on? So finally, the doctor said, hey, I think there's something in your house that's bothering you. So we thought, oh no. And around that same week, our kitchen cabinets were bowed out, and we could poke our finger through the wall. We had black mold in the place we were living.
Yeah.
And I got really sick, and that's when we had to move back from Oklahoma, or from LA to Oklahoma, just because I had gotten so sick from it all. And I saw an environmental doctor, and he tested me for all these allergies, seasonal, environmental, food. Well, turns out I am really allergic to mold and black mold, but I was also really allergic to gluten, dairy, eggs, beef, shellfish. So all this stuff I've cut out of my diet, and I've I've stayed healthy, knock on wood, for a long time. And it's amazing to me how once you find out what your body doesn't like and you don't put that in your body, how much better you can feel. And so subsequently, you know, Shane kind of on the same diet as me.
So we pretty much had like a paleo kind of style diet for,
lots of chicken and rice and vegetables
for years, really.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite chicken and rice recipe?
Oh, well, I make a stir fry that I really like. I use this coconut aminos sauce instead of soy sauce, and a sweet chili sauce. And I'll just throw, you know, some chicken and bell pepper, onion, carrots, snap peas, pineapple, broccoli, whatever is in the fridge at the time, and you know, some rice. It's a quick, easy, healthy meal. And I will say that whenever we are at an Airbnb on the road, we do go get groceries and we do cook for some of the meals. It's nice to have a home cooked meal when you're out on the road. You know, that not fast food, but just eating out.
Eating out in general, it gets old, but also too, you don't really know what ingredients are in the food you're eating.
Yeah.
So even if it's a nice restaurant, you still don't know what's in it.
Yeah.
The only way you know is if you buy it. So
it's true. And I'll get really excited. Like yesterday, we went to a coffee shop in Louisville, Colorado, and they had a gluten-free vegan muffin. I was like, yay! So I got to have a muffin, which was fun.
Now, you chicken and rice every day? Is that just a routine for you now, or do you mix it up a little bit?
I mean, I'll mix it up. I can
it's
have
essentially something like that.
But
like
it's essentially like that. It's like either
even
Mexican vibe or Asian vibe or Mediterranean, but it's a lot of chicken, rice, and vegetables.
Things, maybe some different, some different seasoning.
Which just happens to
and
be.
Then you've, discovered that you can have like a cauliflower crust pizza every once in a while.
I
still can't have cheese, still can't have
egg in the crust.
But yeah.
Yeah, but it's funny because my dad's bodybuilder diet was always chicken and broccoli and a little bit of rice, and he would have that even for breakfast.
I mean, he's serious. He takes this very seriously.
Yeah, so I guess I adopted his diet in a way.
Back a little bit when you said you had the black mold in LA. Now, was that like the early days of the band?
This was like actually before we started our band together. This would have been in 2016.
Yep.
So a couple years before we started it. Yeah.
Yeah, so we lived in LA from 2012 to about 2018, and then we in different places, and then we started the band right after that.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting because I think that incident happening was it pointed us towards the band starting, because during that season of life, we didn't have any place to go, put our stuff in storage, and we came back to LA in like 2017, and we were a friend of ours just said, hey, you can stay at my recording studio house. He had a house that he actually used as a studio, and was very generous, let us stay in one end of the house for quite a while we were trying to figure out our next step and where things were going to go. And we had this opportunity to do a thing called the One Mic series, where this engineer and producer guy was looking for bands to take into legendary studios and record them around one microphone, like old records used to be made in the 30s and 40s. And we submitted both of our original solo music at the time, because we didn't have a project together other than one Christmas song that we'd recorded. And we got a phone call a week later, and the guy who was putting the series on, John Cunabird, said, hey, guys, I really like what you're doing. I dig your stuff, but I've booked up the series and I only have one slot. Can you guys do something together? And that literally was kind of the start of this band. That's kind of how this all got in motion, because we said yes. We had some songs. We ended up going to Muscle Shoals, Alabama, which is a historic town for recording studios and lots of music history there. And we did this One Mic series, and it was such a fun, cool, electrifying experience that we just came home and we ended up writing songs, and that's what led to starting the band.
Yeah, it really is. And we did that recording in 2019, right before your surgery.
Yep.
And then COVID happened, of course, and we waited to release that album until 2021, which is when we started filming a Cowgirls song. So there's a lot of overlap, but yeah, the band officially started in 2019.
Yeah.
So for every up and coming band, there's always got to be a really, really horrible story leading up to it.
I mean, it's possible, but I will say that, in life, sometimes when bad things happen, don't be discouraged, because sometimes that actually leads to great things happening. You just never know. And you kind of have to just have faith and, always believe that, there's a reason for everything happening.
Yeah.
So
one door closing leads to another door opening. And it may be hard to see that at the time, but
definitely see it looking back on this.
Yeah, you can see it looking back.
Were those days, was it considered a struggle for you, or was it just kind of like a fun part of the process?
The LA days?
I guess, yeah, I guess.
Both. I think it was hard because Shane was working a day job from our home, and then I was, working, getting us opportunities for music, and then we were going out to shows as much as possible, networking and playing as many shows as we could. And then, of course, when the phone rang, we jumped on any opportunities we could. It was a fun but also stressful time. I think that coming back to Oklahoma actually helped us readjust our focus, and not just on making ends meet, but also on really diving into our craft even more than we had in the past. And having that ability to focus on the band, this new project together, it was really nice to not have the pressures of living in LA.
More importantly, the expense of living in LA.
Did you get at the time, did you have the time or even the energy to go to a gym in the early days? Or
we actually had a gym membership in downtown Burbank, and we went a lot because I felt like, for me, I mean, I had to, just to help maintain a level of sanity, because you got to let that stress out, and working out is such a good way to do that. It's such a good way to clear your head and just throw some headphones on, or listen to a podcast, or put some kind of positive thing on that you want to listen to while you're working out. And that's what I would do.
And we would go on a lot of walks and hikes too.
Yeah, because the weather was so great there.
Does the workouts help you out? I mean, does it help you out creatively? Does it help you out just mentally, like just get out of that rut and just be better at what you do?
Yes, totally. Inspiration hits at any moment, and a lot of the time for us, it's when we're not doing music. So when we're working out or driving down the road or doing something else. And so I think it's important to take time to, not only for your health's sake, but also for your, mind, because inspiration has come about many times when we've been working out, and, you just type the note in your phone or do a quick voice memo.
Look like some crazy person over there in the gym singing a little melody that just came into your head, or singing a line that comes. I do it all the time. I don't care.
Yeah.
And people look at you like, whoa, what's that guy doing?
Yeah. But I think it is really important, like physically, when we're in the car, like yesterday for 10 hours, it's like, okay, gotta move around, gotta stretch, gotta get some exercise. And then mentally, of course, too, just kind of clearing our minds. I have a hard time not bringing my phone when I'm on doing cardio or whatever, and Shane's like, get off your phone, leave your phone.
We're starting a no phone workout program, which means you have to be off it for 30 minutes or 45 minutes while you're working out, because there's nothing that's going to happen in that amount of time that is so important that you can't return that phone call. So
who's going to take the video of you working out then if you don't have the phone?
That's
I
true.
know.
Let somebody else do it.
Well, what's your father's take on phones in the gym?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Oh, he will answer his phone when he's on the stair stepper. Yeah, he's got his phone. He's also listening to music.
That's true. So he's using his phone for that.
Yeah, but he
will answer. Who do you listen to when you're at the gym? Who's in your headphones?
I think it may seem weird, but for me, I don't listen to headphones when I'm working out because we're listening to music and working on music so much. For me, when I'm working out, I don't know. I just kind of tend to not listen to anything, at least in my headphones. Like, obviously, if there's music in the gym, it can be, motivating. And my dad will definitely listen to very upbeat music when working out. I used to more, but I think it's probably just a logistics thing for me now. I'm just like, let's just work out and clear my head. And that if I'm listening to other music, then I'm thinking about music and not trying, it's weird because it's a part of our business.
Same question, Shane.
Man, I'm throwing on like classic rock, like Led Zeppelin or, or even, Audio Slave or something that just kind of has a nice rock, groove to it. And I just like to rock out, jam out.
Yeah.
Helps me, just pumps me up. You know what I mean?
Audio Slave's a good one.
I know. I mean, there's so many great grooves in that band. You're just freaking, yeah, come on, let's go.
I will say the last time we were at the gym, they were playing like all like 2000s music, and I was really into that because it was like all the songs.
No, I don't want to hear Justin Timberlake or Britney Spears when I'm working out, please. No.
Again. How long does the Wheels to the Pavement tour continue for?
At least through the summer. So we have a bunch of dates through August, and we're
into early September right now.
Early September, and we've got a few dates for the fall. So Wheels to the Pavement is actually a line from one of our upcoming songs. It's probably going to last at least through this year. So it's been such a blast getting back on the road and getting to reconnect with people and make new fans, and we're excited to keep it going.
Do you have more tour dates coming?
We do, yeah. And we're constantly updating our website. It's imaginariesband.com. So that's always the best place to go for the most current, tour dates, because we're always adding new stuff and our agent's always calling us for new stuff. So yeah.
And how much cardio goes into one of your concert performances?
Oh man.
Oh yeah. If it's outside, it's even, more intense because Shane, every show that he plays, by the end of it, he's drenched. I mean, just completely drenched. And I'll be sitting at the piano half the time, and then I'll be standing and playing tambourine and singing half the time. And it's a lot of energy. It's a lot of us, hopping around and interacting with each other in the band. Especially if it's a full band show, definitely there's a lot of cardio happening on stage. Oh, yeah. It's important to hydrate before, for sure. We just played a show in Hendersonville, Tennessee, and it was very hot. It was a real hot one, and we were all just like soaked.
Oh, but probably humid as well.
Oh, it's super humid. I mean, we had the 6 p.m., 6:30 slot time.
5 o'clock.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So, I mean, sun blazing in our face. I mean, it's one of those where it's like, okay, before we ever even start the show, it's like there's already obstacles that you're up against. And it's like, okay, we're going to make this work. But it's like, wear a white t-shirt, sunglasses on, literally I'm like on the verge of going, I'm going to wear shorts next time because it was ridiculous. But you got to try to stay cool on stage as much as you can, and then just stay hydrated,
Yeah, for sure.
Love to see you guys, but not under those conditions.
No kidding, right?